Welcome. This video is the third part of divide decimals. So let's read a question. Paulina has a rope that is 2 and 875 thousandths meters long. She divides the rope into 0 and 125,000 meter sections. How many sections does she have? Let's see if you understand what the problem is asking you. That's the main thing. So she has this really long piece of rope right here. The length of it is 2 and 875 thousandths meters long. She divides them into smaller sections. Each section is 0 and 125,000. So you need to figure out how many groups of 0 and 125,000 go into 2 and 875,000. You're finding how many of this go into that. So is that an example of multiplying or dividing? Because you could keep adding 0 and 125,000 over and over and over and over until you reach this number. Or you can subtract and take away 125,000 from this starting number over and over. Repeated subtraction is dividing. So let's set up our division problem. So it's 2 and 875 thousandths divided into 0 and 125,000. How would you write this in fraction form? 2 and 875,000 divided by 0 and 125 thousandths. Do you like working with decimals? I personally, and I'm a teacher, and I say no, I don't like working with decimals. I rather work with whole numbers. So what can I multiply? What place value can I multiply the numerator and denominator by to make them whole numbers? By the thousandths place. So 0 and 125,000 times 1,000 is 125 because you're moving this decimal point 3 over. 2 and 875,000 times 1,000 is 2,875 because you're moving this decimal point 3 over. So now let's divide this. How do you say this as a division problem? 2,875 divided by 125. I don't know about you, but when I do long division, I like writing, skip counting what I'm dividing by. I'm dividing by 125, so it's 125. Another 125 is 250. Another group of 125 is 375. And then, I'm going to stop right there. Can 125 go into 0 times? Can 125 go into 28? No, 0 times. How many groups of 125 go into 287? Well, 250, and this is this 2 times. If I subtract this, you get 37. Bring down the 5. How many groups of 125 go in 375? Oh, it's right here, 3 times. So how many sections does she have? 23 sections. To check your work, if each section is 0 and 125,000, and you have 23 sections, let's multiply this. 3 times 5 is 15, carry the 1. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 1 is 7. 3 times 1 is 3. Cross out the 3, put an X. 2 times 5 is 10, carry the 1. 2 times 2 is 4, plus 1 is 5. 2 times 1 is 2. If I add this up, how many decimal points are behind the decimal? How many digits are behind the decimal point? 3 places. So where should I put it so there's 3 places? Right here. Could I move it 3 times over? Oh, is this what we started with? Yes, it is. So we did it correctly. So today you're going to be going through math stations. That means you will be answering multiple questions, or like 10 questions that are hang up around the wall, and you're going to go around and answer different stations to practice your division of decimals. But before we do that, let's practice a question about me. Mr. Joe, So Mr. Joe has 2 and 8/10 pounds of protein powder. Every day he scoops 0 and 500 pounds into his drink. How many days will this protein powder last? He must keep up his muscles for, of course, Lucy Lou. So is this a dividing or is this a multiplying? So let's think about it. So he has this big container that holds 2 and 8/10 pounds of protein powder. He scoops, he takes 500s away every day. So I'm figuring out how many 500s go into here. I'm taking away. Repeated subtraction means division. So it's 2 and 8 tenths divided by 500. How would you write this as a fraction? Well, 2 and 8 tenths divided by 500. Do you like working with, oh, do you like working with, actually, I should put it right here. 2 and 8 tenths divided by 500. Do you like working with decimals? I know I don't. I rather personally work with whole numbers. So what place value is this? This is in the hundreds place. So let's multiply this by 100. So if I multiply 500 times 100, the whole number will be 5. If I multiply 2 and 8 tenths by 100, or why don't I put a 0, a placeholder right here, annex a 0. What's 2 and 80 hundredths times 100? That's 280. So how would I divide this? 280 divided by 5. Does this look easier than this? I personally think so. I personally would rather work with whole numbers than the decimals. Let's write out my fives. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30. We'll stop right there. How many groups of 5 go into 0 times? How many groups of 5 go into 28? There's 25. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 times. Left with 3, bring down to 0. How many groups of 5 go into 30? 6 times. So how many days will it last me? 56 days. To check my work, I can multiply 56 times 500. So every day I use 500 pounds of protein powder into my drink for 56 days. 5 times 6 is 30, carry the 3. 5 times 5 is 25, plus 3 is 28. How many digits are behind there? 2 digits. So right here. Oh, same number as we started with. And that is how you divide by decimals.